this is a board, an OKR board for the entire company. So the entire thesis is that to keep everyone on the same page, because as
Hmm.
you know, when team grows and
Yeah.
they are not in sync with each other as much
Hmm.
as they used to, it's always good to have a Bible where you can just go back and see the fundamentals that we have been building on.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Down and Dirty. And today I have with me Priyanjali Datta. She is a tech entrepreneur, but not just any tech entrepreneur. She's been recognized by Novartis as one of the top 10 social entrepreneurs, amongst many other awards that she has been collecting over the years. A couple of years back, Priyanjali, you started Aarogya International. It's a cancer screening tool. And now you're working on a SaaS platform, a generative AI SaaS platform for content creators as well as wellness experts. So, Priyanjali, welcome to the show. And are you ready to get down and dirty with us?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the introduction. Yes, let's get on to it.
Okay, awesome. So let's start by, just give me some background. How did I know you have a background in health sciences. So how did this transition to the product world happen?
Sure. So, when I was doing my medical sciences in
Mm,
Delhi, I came from my hometown, Shillong, which is a matrilineal society. And in Delhi, I realized that after getting into a government medical college, the burden of, health issues that was happening mainly with women, especially in a society construct like this, was pushing them to come to the hospitals at a very late stage. Versus, a community like Shillong or Meghalaya, which is the world's only matrilineal society existing right now, there the construct of society is fairly different and has other challenges. But early detection is given a lot of importance
mm,
locally out there. And
mm,
hence, that problem statement really stuck on to me. And I was honestly not enjoying clinical practice that much, though it's a very noble profession. I realized my pulse of entrepreneurship and becoming a serial technology entrepreneur and started developing my own first generation and second generation AI algorithms. Started with breast cancer detection for women and went
mm.
on to a stage where we actually diagnosed more than 70,000 women across 4 countries: US, India, some parts of
Wow.
East Africa, and diagnose them very early with
Mm,
diseases like breast cancer, PCOS, mixed anxiety depression disorder, and all of that. So it was the natural transition for me in the throughout process from becoming a health sciences professional to uh, an AI product person. And yeah, that's the transition that happened initially. And the second transition really happened to be a generalist and an AI person who loves building products for global markets, especially the US and Indian market. I transitioned to onto the next product, which is now the generative SaaS AI platform for content creators and media and entertainment industry.
So you really do seem to be a woman wearing many hats because you can do medical sciences hands-on and then go from that to tech products in the medical field and now in the space of just content creation and health, which and health creators, health content creators, which wellness content creators, which is a nice tangent to
Yeah.
what you're already doing. So it's not that far off. Amazing. So what does a typical day in your life look like? And I literally want one day, if you could walk me through from the time you wake up till the time you get to bed, what's happening?
If I talk about my current day-to-day activities,
Yes.
I would define it in a way where I would say this is a transition phase for me. You're
Mm,
absolutely right. Before a few months ago, when I was in the US, I was doing product, fundraising, a typical day that happens in a
Yeah.
entrepreneur's life, and networking with a lot of people. So my day at that time would begin, and this happened for like 8 years. It would typically begin with planning out the entire day first, sitting down
Mm,
and writing and responding to all my emails,
mm,
having my own thinking time, because I think 80% of the time that goes into an entrepreneur's life in a typical day is around thinking.
yeah.
It's fairly underestimated when we define our routine, but it is
Mm,
work. Uh, in my case, I was spending at least 30 to 40% of my time in thinking, researching, laying out multiple business plans, taking out the data from the best of the reports, and talking to people, um, networking, and understanding landscapes, you know.
mm.
So, I'm a generalist, when it comes to building products or entrepreneurship. So, be it health, be it media and entertainment, for me, it's very important to solve a real problem. So that was what was happening till around 4 months ago. Uh, Post that, I have been in a transition phase. So my day typically now is all about exploring, these new products that I want to build and researching. And I'm also on the board of a few other companies, so I help them with fundraising
Mm.
in the format of how to raise venture capital funds, and also do product strategy for them, and overall company structure and strategy. So I do that mostly in the US and Indian landscape. So yeah, that's typically how my day looks like. Other than that, I do try to get out some time to do some personal activities, like hang out with friends or do my own, like book reading or watching some movies or do some physical activities. And yeah, I love dancing. So dancing is a part of my routine.
So if I had to get really granular, right, because this show is about getting down and dirty, like really, really specific, what time are
Mhm.
you waking up,
Depends. I
roughly?
am not, so it's very erratic, I would say.
Okay, all
Sometimes
right, okay.
if I'm in a sprint of a few months where I want to
Yeah.
really, you know, release something in the market like a
Mm.
product, so I can't sleep beyond 4 a.m.
Okay.
And 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. is my personal work sprint, because otherwise, the day's time goes into management and managing other people. So yeah, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. If I do not have such a mandate,
Yeah.
then I might as well wake up at 10 a.m. So
Okay. Okay. All right. So an erratic wake up schedule,
yeah.
and then you listed a bunch of things that kind of take up your day. But you also said first half is your thinking caps on, your thinking hats on,
Yes.
right? So you're spending more time either responding to emails, but really doing a lot of thinking and researching. And the stage at which you're at right now, it seems like your research is kind of taking up a bulk of your time, your time in the morning. So
Yeah.
morning gets done. Let's say you have lunch. What's happening after lunch?
Management with people,
Management.
mostly, because product
Is
management.
this on the phone? Is this like, how are you managing people? Are you meeting people physically? Are you at your desk?
It
How's
is
management happening?
mostly happening from my desk. I would
Hmm.
say it's a hybrid model. We have, pretty much a very online team,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we hardly meet each other. However,
Yeah.
from time to time, we make sure that we are meeting in person, because otherwise that touch of
Right.
being really into it gets lost into translation. So I would weigh physical meeting really high in terms of productivity than online.
Okay. So your second half is spent in managing. Right now, most of it is at your desk.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming what this means is you're using, some kind of communication platform to stay in touch with them. You're making phone calls. You're probably on, your calendar. You have your scheduling stuff there. So lots of it is happening online. And then this time, this personal time, is this kind of sprinkled in the day, or is it hard coded into a certain number of hours at certain times of the day?
It's hard coded after my work sprints. I require a lot of focused work sprints, and
Hmm.
that includes not doing anything else other than
Hmm.
those sprints, and doing my other activities either before starting the day at work or after finishing the day at work, just to cool off and just to zone out from that dimension to the personal dimension. During working hours, I do not do anything else.
Got it. Understood. Okay. So, all right. And then what time does your day wrap up? I mean, if you're doing on the days when you're doing your sprints and you're up at 4, is that different from when you're going to bed on some other days, or do you usually sleep at the same time?
uh, in the recent times, I've started sleeping, or let's say switching off at
Hmm.
around 11 p.m.
Hmm.
But my schedule, I always tell
Hmm.
people, please do not go by my schedule, because my schedule is fairly erratic. It's it depends on the work,
Hmm. Hmm.
how much
Yeah,
work is on the table. But yeah, generally now I switch off by 11 p.m.
by
after the
11
entire
p.m.
agenda.
Okay. Got it. Got it. All right. Okay, so this is that's great. So tell me, what would be right now with what you have on your plate right now, not what was happening 4 months ago. What are your key responsibilities? Uh, what are you handling?
Sure. So my key responsibilities are product and fundraising.
Hmm.
Typically, product includes both product strategy and product marketing. So I handle a team of engineers and product uh, designers, product managers, and product marketeers,
Hmm.
where we spend most of our day in baking the product into more and more usable format by the
Hmm.
users. So we
Hmm.
spend a lot of time in customer-centric research, sitting down and dirty, as you say, with the customers and backward solving the problem. So product is a very big part of my work,
Hmm. Hmm.
because currently in this transition phase, I'm helping a lot of companies to build their AI
Hmm.
products, like a AI teacher, AI in media and entertainment, and all of that.
Hmm.
The second part includes fundraising, which includes, again, a lot of research of the landscape, the industry, and reaching out to a
Hmm.
lot of, let's say, venture capitalists, angel investors, grants also, and preparing business decks,
Hmm.
preparing fundraising decks,
Hmm.
preparing fundraising material like a kit, and email blurbs, etc.
Hmm.
Yeah, company structure, company strategy, which direction is the company moving? So a lot of strategy work as well.
Got it. So, in the work that you're doing right now, these uh, two ends of the spectrum, product and fundraising, what actually they're not ends of spectrum. There's two aspects of many things you're going to do to run a business. What are your key challenges right now? What are hurdles? What are obstacles that are coming in the way of you doing what you need to do when it comes to product and fundraising?
Product fairly generic, I guess. The set of
Hmm.
problems that I face personally
Hmm.
are generic set of problems that across the board mostly people have an overlap they face,
Hmm.
anyone who's a product person. And they if I have to enumerate them, they will be typically: number one, finding a class A, tier A team. That's the secret sauce of a great product. you know
Yeah.
and uh,
Recruiting, recruiting, recruiting.
recruiting, and like going through that entire cycle of just finding the
Yeah.
best people in terms of
Yeah.
not just work and skills, but work ethics
Hmm.
and values, and who understands the core value of the product
Yeah.
mission very well.
Mm,
has ownership. So that is number one. That
mm,
challenge is across the board. Number two, because it is they are very specialized. The products are really specialized. So in the market, it's very hard to find again the right resources for machine learning engineers
mm,
and for the people who are upbeat with uh, this generation's product
mm,
psychology. I
mm,
bake in a lot of anthropology and tech
mm.
anthropology into it. I'm very heavy into human-centric artificial intelligence. So finding those visionary people who understands the customer psyche very well and sit down with me and lay out the vision and then distill it and make it really worthy to have a great user experience.
Right.
I think that cracking that user experience, which has, let's say, wowing factors and viral factors baked in, is a challenge. As we know, such products exist where, let's say, an iPad has that pencil and it creates magic, and when that happens, we say wow. So that wow factor is, I think, the biggest challenge for any product person. um and the third would be, honestly, the distribution of product. um in this world of algorithms taking over, and we know how Meta and Google ads now are absolutely not the right way for any product to depend on or to bank on to market themselves, because it just is a lot of money churn. Um, Baking in the distribution factors very smartly in the product, and creating the distribution strategy around it and cracking it big into the market. I think these are the three broad challenges that I face in product. In fundraising, I guess the market overall, the entire ecosystem is going through a
Yeah.
massive recession. So that
Yeah.
is a challenge which all of us are facing.
Yeah.
And the market is immensely correcting itself. So gone are those days where with some validation and product market fit would someone would raise a seed round of $5 million or $6 million. Now the entire metrics of fundraising has changed. It's all about profits. There is no jargon involved. So yeah, it's a lot of challenge because of the market.
So, what are, given the context of these challenges that you're facing, what are some things, some people, some practices, it doesn't matter what, but what are those aspects of your life right now that enable you to move forward? Like, what helps?
Broadly, what really helps is a lot of critical thinking.
Mm,
I personally use design thinking a lot.
mm,
As I said, human centric product development, human centric designs um, help me not just at my work, but also to think through in general about all of these aspects. So design thinking, uh, I do a lot of backward thinking and try to find out some smart ways, because otherwise entrepreneurs get stuck. Let's say there is no one way to just achieve one thing. We have to think about plan A, plan B, plan C. And yeah, so that is one. And second is mentorship from the right people, not a lot of people. When I said I do a lot of networking, means I don't go to a lot of events. I stopped doing that years ago, but I do go and meet people that I really trust, those people who have already um, proven a lot of validation in the market in terms of their work.
mm,
Choosing the right mentor, otherwise anyone can get easily sucked into wrong advisors.
mm,
Um, that whole cycle and loop. So yeah, uh, people who have records of, let's say, um, someone who has done an IPO, uh, someone who has already gone through the cycle of Series A, Series B, Series C, has a huge amount of tangible customers. They know how to scale a company from 0 to 1, 1 to 100. People who have already proven how to build culture and company values in a scale where they have built a team of 0 to 1,000.
Mm.
Like my co-founder at Pinga was one of them when we were working together. His previous journey of startup was where he had scaled a company called ShopX from 0 to 1,000, and they were operating at a $1 billion business value and had raised more than $100 million. So, very smart selection of mentors.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In the midst of all of this influence in your life and your reading and your research, how has all of this shaped Priyanjali as an entrepreneur? If you had to encapsulate who is Priyanjali as an entrepreneur, how would you talk about that?
I would say Priyanjali is a serial technology entrepreneur
Mm.
um, who loves building especially artificial intelligence products for multiple industries, and also loves fundraising, because these two things something are I heavily believe on as foundational for a company to be built. Not talking about other products in general. So that's typically me, how I have been shaped over the years. If I have to largely talk about my values and my what drives me, I love solving problems for people across the globe who are facing, let's say, millions and millions of people facing something very deeply inspires me to get up and go to work every day.
And what are some personal values that you stand by that perhaps percolate into who you are as a founder, a team leader,
Sure,
a C-suite executive?
sure. I remember there was an email I received from one of our customers, and we
Mm.
had this central phone in the middle of our war room, which would ring, and randomly team members from, let's say, technology team or the product team or the marketing team would, or me or my co-founder, we would just go and pick it up to
Yeah.
understand what our customers are facing. And
Mm.
all of our core values or personal values have developed from that. It's an example of how we really operate, how I really operate
Mm.
in my life, is having an openness to listen. And the email that I was talking about, I received a customer complained about that. Okay, I was, promised to have this feature, and we were beta testing our product at that point, and I did not get this feature. And when I got it, there was something missing. So some
Mm.
terms and conditions and some basic privacy policy issue that
Mm.
was at our end. And immediately, the entire team noticed that, and the tech team immediately uh, removed that from the
Mm.
product,
Mm.
correct it. And I
Oh,
have seen that these core values and cultural values in the company are fundamental for your customers to stick by you. No discounts, no freebies, just, solving the problem with utmost honesty and
mm.
creating real value is what drives me personally.
Okay. Okay. So now I know a little bit more about Priyanjali. And now I want to get into um, the things you use to enable you to be you, right? If I had to like look over your shoulder and see your computer, your desktop, your laptop, whatever, wherever you operate, what are some tabs? What are some things that would be open on your system on any random day?
Wow. Yeah, that's quite scary because I have like multiple windows with multiple tabs open. But okay, let me just maybe show you one tool.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. No, before we get into the specific tool, I want a general sense of like What are some, go-to applications, things that you always need on? You said you wake up, sometimes you do your work sprints at 4.
Yeah,
Like, what gets you in the zone?
sure, sure. I use Notion a lot for my personal work. I
Mm,
think it's excellent tool for your own personal work management and also, of course, organizational work management, especially for documentation and product work and all of that.
mm,
I use Figma a lot because I have a very it's an innate habit to get my hands dirty into the
mm,
product. So I love getting hands-on work done on my product designs and prototyping them and just obsessing over it, every detail. So Figma is also at the top.
mm,
I use Trello a lot for my day-to-day management, my weekly management with the team, company objectives, tracking, and all of
mm.
that. Jira, Asana. So yeah, these are some of the top tools that I use. And
What are
Google, of
some tools? Okay, so the Google Suite.
yeah.
Got it. And what about for communication? How your management phase that happens during the second half of the day? What are some ways in which you are managing or interacting with people?
Google Suite. We keep it very simple.
Okay.
We
Okay.
we
So Meet. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, Meet, and we definitely use Jira a lot for product
Hmm.
management.
Yeah.
We also have like built in-house product management and project management like tracking systems. So we have that as well. But most of the management work in terms of
Hmm.
documentation and all of that happens at the Google Suite. So
Got it. Understood. And okay, so now let's of these few tools that you've mentioned, which tool is which tool do you want to talk about, or which tool are we going to highlight today?
I think let's go for Trello. Trello is something which is extremely easy to use, but it's very, very efficient. And I use it for my company OKR and everything for, in terms of managing and seeing the goals of the team and dividing my work sprints and objectives and action items. So, yeah, Trello.
So before we get again, still yet before we get into actually seeing Trello and how you leverage it, can you think back to what instigated the search for a Trello equivalent? When did
Mhm.
that need and why did that need come about?
Mhm. That need actually came about when the team grew a little bit
Hmm,
and we realized that everyday stand-up calls and weekly, opening calls, closing calls, monthly objectives, our KRAs, OKRs, they needed a smarter, and we being product people, we needed a smart, like not smarter, but more visual or a room for where we could attach our files on the go, where we could assign it to another team member very seamlessly and all of that. So
hmm,
it emerged with that. We initially were doing it on Slack, and Slack, I forgot to mention, is also an
hmm,
excellent for communication. So for product,
hmm.
we use Slack a lot. So Trello's need like rose from there, and ever since we are stuck onto it.
So there are other tools in the marketplace that do project management, assignments, attachments. I mean, you mentioned Notion. Notion has its own task
Yeah.
database ecosystem, get things assigned and managed.
Yeah.
What about the tools stood out? Why Trello?
Trello, I guess, became a um, example or a leader in this space, just the efficiency and productivity space of products, by having an excellent user journey. And they have such easy to use features and very intuitive, where you can, at the flick of like maybe one or two clicks, create a new board, um, go inside that, create a new list of tasks. Under each task, you can create those cards, can have, images of your goals
Hmm,
and um, There's a checklist that you can create. There's description, there is attachment, there is also um, assigning. So
Mm.
it's very the entire user journey of it is so easy. Drag and drop, like prioritizing top to bottom, is very seamless on even a mobile surface. We use the mobile app of Trello a lot. So it's very easy to use and convenient.
Got it. Tell me a little bit more about why the mobile app. I'm curious. You live on your desktop, right? I mean, you're doing, or are you mobile more than you are sitting down?
I'm actually both. Um,
Hmm.
but why mobile? Because when we have a lot of hectic schedule going on and we want to constantly have a look on what are the tasks that has been done, and uh, how is the team working throughout the day. In that case, even if you are in your bed and you're not
Hmm.
awake, it helps me a lot to keep a track of everything. So the mobile app is specifically very, very easy to manage.
I mean, if your day ends at 11 o'clock and sometimes starts at 4, then okay, I can see you needing things on your phone because you're probably taking work to bed at some point. So
As I
it's,
said, I don't practice the healthy ways yet. I want to,
yeah,
work in progress, but do not get inspired by my erratic
yeah.
schedule.
And don't let your teammates hear how much you're working and what hours of the day you're working.
They know though.
Uh,
They know and they hate it.
so okay, all right. So okay, it makes sense. Ease of use, lots for management, and let's get into the tool. Let's get a sense of here. Let me just give you a share screen, right?
Yeah,
There you go.
perfect.
So, what I would like, Priyanjali, is not really to go into the features of it, but generally speaking, but what you like about the tool, right? Like what works for you and how you use it. That's more interesting to me.
Perfect. Perfect. So I'll just show you a section of mine. Like you can see, uh, at the beginning, I have a board of company objectives under
Hmm, hmm,
OKR. This
hmm,
list has different cards like when do we need to launch the product, by when do we need to raise capital, by when do we need to set up a general management for the company,
hmm, hmm,
uh, different teams that we need to build and how many, and all of that. So this is a general overview of company objectives. Then
hmm,
this is something that I love. I created this list called refrigerator, which is
hmm.
ideas for later, because at times we all have those ideas that just come to us in a team meeting, or our team is going gaga over something, but we want to park it for later. So we do that. So this is a list of ideas
Lovely.
that we actually thought we will touch later at some point. Then coming to a list that I really love. So as you can see,
Hmm,
this is weekly. So we divide our work into weeks of, let's
hmm,
say,
hmm, hmm,
4th of July, as you can see. Then each teammate has to do what, let's say, okay, a small task card has been made by health report
hmm,
development or user launch. Then admin portal execution with experts. Then journey to of our entire chatbot or whatever.
hmm.
That is really exciting because it's visual. You can see some movement happening. We made these
Yeah,
gifs for our product. um I can just maybe show you
very
in
cool.
so like this is the broad product vision, master list, and I'll just open a list for you. So there's a description that we create. Then on
Hmm.
the sides, we can, label it in terms of
Yeah.
priorities. We love coloring things as a
Hmm,
team. So, like we have these attachment of our product thinking, because we do a
hmm,
lot of
hmm,
product thinking, and it's just easy to access
hmm.
here like this. Um, then we have the checklist here of our
Mm.
tasks, subtasks under each task. So yeah, we can also add comments and activities and show details and all of that. So it's
Got
pretty,
it.
and then you have these power-ups which are really cool. You can add your
Correct.
plugins and all of that. So Google Drive, and add your own automation button and move this up and down, share it with your team member. So yeah, I really love this.
It's definitely a very simple interface, right? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Everything that you need is already opened up for you. You don't need to go looking for it.
Yes.
It's, you just select what you need. And also having limited options is sometimes liberating. You can
Yes.
only do so many things with it.
Yes.
So,
Definitely.
so tell me something. So what I'm seeing here in what you're sharing is lists of different things that are coexisting together, because you had an OKR. So your main board is called OKR, but within that, your individual lists, you have tasks as well, which is week of July 4th, week of June 27th. But then you also have refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
And you also have, product release or product release timeline,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for you, tell me a little bit more about that. The fact that you're just going left to right and they're just different, almost conveyor belts of
Yeah.
things that are in your point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so this is a little, I would say, um, okay, how do I put it? Let me put it this way. This is a board, an OKR board of for the entire company. So the entire thesis is that to keep everyone on the same page, because as
Hmm.
you know, when team grows and
Yeah.
they are not in sync with each other as much
Hmm.
as they used to,
Hmm.
um, it's always good to have a Bible where you can just go back and see the fundamentals that we have been building on.
Hmm.
So this OKR board for us is that,
Hmm.
because it's not just our weekly targets and it's not just our activities and subtasks. It is also our idea board. It is also our we use FigJam a lot for brainstorming, and we use Mind Momo a lot for mind mapping and all of that.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
ultimately, we dump everything here. This is like our
Hmm.
savings account, I would say.
Okay. I love that. Okay. So this is the brain dump of the entire org.
Yeah.
But you have a mixture of top level stuff, and you also are assigning your daily tasks, or rather weekly tasks,
Yeah.
in this board,
Yeah.
right? Because you have the week off stuff that's being assigned to people,
Yeah.
right? And those cards can get pretty extensive, as you showed us an example of. And then you also have these top level company objectives that are coexisting with
Yes.
those weekly tasks.
Yes.
And this
Yes.
was done on purpose. You've
Yes,
set this up. Is this
yes,
your baby, your structure?
it is. It is my baby, and also
Yeah.
Amit's baby, Amit Sharma, at Pinga, and now Avatar. It's called now Avatar. It's our baby. We set this up together. This is definitely for the top management, and as product people, both of
Mm,
us always felt we will have a very small team no matter what,
mm,
because we don't want to become a operations or sales company. Uh, Nothing wrong or right about any of this, but we thought we'll always keep a small team. And
mm,
time and again, we have seen that great product companies have very small teams. So this board is definitely just for top management. And
mm,
as the team grows,
mm.
top bottom, people have their own boards, but the tasks that we assign are mostly for the tier 1 and tier 2 management. Beyond that it goes into the other boards.
Understood. And are those other boards also, do they also live on Trello? Is that largely where task management is being managed?
Yes, Trello,
Okay.
yes. We use Trello a lot in
Yeah.
our uh, project management and day-to-day
Hmm.
task management. But as I said, Slack is also fairly used
Hmm.
a lot by the teams.
Got it. So tell me, how does Trello coexist with other apps? So let's take Notion or Figma, for example. Uh, Give me an example of how Trello is actually being sprinkled in your day in the context of you doing something here and then going to that app, or doing something there and then coming here. How does it actually fit into a workflow?
Right. So, I mean, personally, when I do it, I have these apps on my desktop.
Hmm.
So I switch between Trello and Notion and Figma and
Hmm.
Jira a lot.
Hmm.
Slack also. Um, but when I see my other team members, they are smarter than me and they have integrated, like plugins uh, between these apps, which makes it much more seamless for them to actually keep the workflow in place.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, there are some really interesting plugins which Notion has, and Trello, I would say, in terms of plugins, is not yet as evolved as some other apps, but yeah,
Okay. So you're coming back to this, you're signing, you're looking at stuff, you're assigning things to people, like you said, your top management mostly.
yeah,
And then you are switching between this and other apps at multiple points. And basically those 4 or 5 apps that you mentioned that you're bouncing around between.
yeah.
And are you kind of coming back to this at the end? Are you using Trello to kind of review stuff at the end of the day?
Yes.
Or is this, are you using any push notifications to know when a card or task has been completed? How does that kind of fit into your planning time, your focus time in the morning, and your management time in the evening?
Yeah, so it does have push notifications. We
Hmm.
have assigned deadlines and dates to
Hmm.
each task. So it has push notifications, which is really, really
Hmm.
useful and cool. The other thing is that we come back to the obligations of the week on Trello.
Hmm.
So we have weekly meetings, and in those weekly
Hmm.
meetings, we open our week's list
Hmm.
and go to each card. Each card is actually a particular team's task for the week.
Hmm.
And inside that card, there are subtasks assigned to team members.
Hmm.
So, with deadlines. So, we
Yeah.
review that and we share our screen and pretty much do it on during the week's end. So, yeah.
Got it. And how many people are doing this roughly?
Roughly, we have, always been between 12 to up to 30, 35 people. And
But this board, let's say this OKR board, how many people are reviewing it on a weekly
this
basis, adding
particular
new cards?
this
Yeah.
particular OKR board is between 5 to 6 people only.
5 to 6 people. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So you're kind of going through stuff, cleaning it out, adding new things on a
Yes.
weekly basis.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So looking at your board right now, what do you like best about Trello? What
Best,
stands out?
best about Trello are actually many things, but what really stands out is, uh, let's say, its interface, honestly. I again keep going back to that. The cards that we can create so seamlessly, like, for example, if I have to create a list here,
Hmm.
uh, I can add, let's say, ABC, and the list gets created immediately. And then I can add a card and I can
Hmm.
say, okay, my first objective for the week is XYZ. And when the card is created, we can create multiple such 4, 5 cards
Hmm.
a week and go inside and just very easily write down our thoughts, add our add parent to this particular card, add subtasks and ask
Hmm.
join, and people are immediately notified. So
Yeah.
I love that. And then we can customize it as well. If someone takes a company subscription or a corporate subscription, they can add a lot of power ups and customize further. So, yeah, I think I love the interface overall.
Okay, so the design is delightful. They've succeeded there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Where does it fall short? Is there anything that you wish Trello offered that it doesn't offer?
Um, yeah, I guess as I said earlier, the plugins are a little
Hmm.
limited. I would say
Yeah.
in that context, Notion and even Slack for that matter um, has much more plugins than Trello today.
But you
But
don't use the plugins. You said you kind of
I
keep your
don't.
apps open.
I
So
I
no, no,
don't.
no. So I want you to tell me, like not what the team needs. I want you to tell me when you use
Okay.
this
Okay.
for whatever you do, what do you wish it had? Or where does it fall short?
Okay, let me give it a thought. This is a very good question. I haven't thought about it. I would say Trello today is again a very singular app, if I have to put a word to it. Like
Hmm.
I love doing my own work and I love my top management and core team members jamming on it and doing all of the planning and meetings and all of that. But I think it needs a little more dynamic features. So if I was given an opportunity to add a feature in Trello, I would give them a feature of creating a community. So
Tell me
yeah,
more. What is that? What is that? You already have a community of five, six people who are working on, let's say, on this board. But
yeah.
what do you mean by community?
What I mean by community is I think Trello has a lot of potential with its feature to actually brainstorm, to actually open uh,
Hmm.
ideas and innovations to people, to a large audience, and and have a feature just like how
Like Fig
Discord,
Jam.
yeah, just like FigJam, and also how Discord has some channels. Uh,
Hmm. I see what you mean. So you're basically saying Trello and maybe Trello and Slack or Trello and FigJam or Trello and Zoom Whiteboard, like
yeah,
something where or Trello and Miro, like
yeah,
something where you can brainstorm as well, because brainstorming is important to you. You mentioned thinking multiple times as something that's quite core to how you operate. So
yes,
okay, I now that makes sense to have that. And right now it just does this one thing really well, which is boards.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
okay. Okay, okay. All right, all right. Okay, that makes sense. That's a good one. And you didn't have to think too much for it.
You helped me, thank you.
Okay, so if you had to complete the sentence, Trello is a great tool for people who want to dash. How would you complete it?
Team management.
For people who want to manage teams. And do we want to be specific, manage teams of?
Top, top management of a company, especially a startup, which is at a 0 to 1 or 1 to 10 phase.
Hmm.
Core team members writing down their company objectives and religiously reaching goals week on week, month on month. I think, yeah, that.
Right. Okay, so an enabler for top management to come together, have consensus on what matters, and get the job done on a weekly basis. So
Yes.
the only thing left is rapid fire, and this
Okay.
is completely painless. Are you ready?
Yes, sure.
Okay, all right. Name one thing on your bucket list.
Skydiving.
Boy, how do you have the balls for that? Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. What comes to mind when I say happiness?
Um, Family.
Okay. What social media platform are you most active on?
Instagram.
Okay. And do you own a vehicle?
Yes, I do.
What is that? Can you give me specifics?
Oh, yes, we have a XUV 700 at home. So that's I just love SUVs in general. But yeah, soon I want to have a nice SUV, which is Volvo's SUV. So yeah,
Okay, fingers crossed.
thank
That's
you.
that's also on the bucket list.
Yes.
Actually, that's not a bucket list item. That's like a, like a down the line, short term item. But anyhow, Priyanjali, this was amazing. Thank you so much. I feel like not only do I know you, but I also understand now why a tool like Trello is important for how you work. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that, and and more.
Thank you so much. In fact, you have been an enabler to actually, take me through the entire conversation and bring out my truest of thoughts and point of views. Thank you so much for doing this wonderful podcast with me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Well, you have a good day, and yeah, we'll meet on LinkedIn, I'm sure. Bye.
Bye.